What's going on, guys? James from Dr. Eanes Pools here, and today I'm going to show you some of the aftermath of the rain that we've been dealing with here in Florida and how it's affecting some of our pools. So the two that I'm going to be showing you today both have issues with groundwater getting into the pool. The first one's way worse than the second. The first one, the backyard grades into the pool, so we're going to get a whole lot of runoff from every single time it rains, especially when it rains torrentially. That's going to run off from the back of the yard down into the pool. So that's why when you see us pulling out the hammerhead and we start vacuuming this pool, we have so much silt and twigs, and the pool water itself is actually green. This is how we kind of know that it's a phosphate issue in addition to an algae issue. When people say their pool is green, typically you've got something like a mustard algae, which is kind of like a dust. If you were to take your hand and just kind of brush over the step or something like that, it would just kind of dust up and turn this weird kind of greenish, yellowish kind of color. As opposed to green algae, which if you touch it's generally quite slimy and it's really difficult to get out. You've got to scrub at it quite hard. So I guess you could say here we've kind of got our classic green clean going on here. Had to bring in our power vac, as you can see right there, because this thing is full of dirt. Normally a green pool, it's gonna have algae, it's gonna have dirt, all kinds of crap in it, but this one's super bad because if you can see up here, make sure I can see everything. Yeah, up through here, that hill all grades down in towards the pool. So what's going to happen anytime it rains, if we get some super torrential downpours, especially in Florida, all that water is going to take all that dirt and bring it into the pool. You're also going to run into issues a lot of the time if you use kind of plant food, Scott's fertilizer or something like that. It's going to bring a lot of the phosphate and the nitrate down into the water, and all that stuff is totally plant food, and it's just going to absolutely eat it up, and your algae problems are just going to blow up on you. We don't use the hammerhead all the time on our green cleanups. It's only when there's a whole lot of physical debris in the pool. A lot of times when you come into a green clean, you're just going to be running into a whole lot of algae, but specifically because this one has got so much dirt that has come into the pool from all the rain, we need to get the dirt out. We don't want to try and put all that dirt through the filter because then we're going to run into issues of we need to replace the filter very frequently. Snuck that one in on me when we were on our way here. Apparently we have to change the light as well, which is cool.
More money.
It's just one more thing. If we're going to do it now, I mean, I don't have to get in. I totally would not recommend going swimming in this thing. It's gross. Turn that bad boy on. So it's kind of difficult for you guys to see. I'll try and work some magic in post. But all that grossness is getting pulled up here. Let's see, like all of this. You can see here now where it's kind of gone a little bit milky white. We actually put in a phosphate remover because with all the grass and all the plant life that's coming all through here and the water that's come into this pool that's run through all of that grass and dirt and stuff, and it's all gone into this pool, it's brought phosphate in with it, like I said before. The white is the reaction with the chemical with the phosphate. That's how you always know there's really bad phosphates in here. We always recommend doing a test. Even like 300 parts per billion phosphate is really high. You want to get that removed. You want no phosphate in here. Even at 100 parts per billion phosphate, you need to keep your eye on it real hard. This pool, it's got a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green, but when it comes to phosphate, the water itself is actually super green. It's definitely not a scientific test by any means, just to look at it and be like, yeah, sure. I think that's phosphate. That seems to make sense. No, we definitely have to do a phosphate test on it. Once you start approaching anywhere close to like 300 parts per billion on phosphate, you're gonna want to get something in there to destroy the phosphate, because even at 300 parts per billion, keep in mind every other chemical pretty much is measured in parts per million. You're definitely gonna want to put in some kind of phosphate destroyer, because phosphate, as everyone pretty much knows by now, if you do a quick Google search for phosphate, it's plant food. That's why we have chemicals like phosphate destroyers, which will negate and kill all of that phosphate out of the water.
So that one we were working in and out of the rain. After we'd vacuumed it and after we put in the phosphate treat, we backwashed the filter and recharged it with fresh DE. Super shocked it with 2 jugs of chlorine, 5 gallons of chlorine, however you want to call it, because we just need to burn the green out and we're just throwing the chlorine way up. No one's going to be swimming in it, so that's perfectly fine to do. Cool, so we've got another one to check out here. We've got massive grading issues for the ground. Oh my god, look at this. So you can see that's the pool screen all here, but all the dirt from all this is all just piled up, and that's definitely going to have washed in the pool. Let's take a look. Oh jeez.
I said we couldn't get in the screen. I said there's 2 inches of...
So we figured the best thing to do with the spa was to drain it. We're going to use our sump pump, trash pumped it out. Mike really got that going pretty quick. You can see the fruits of his labor here. So all of that stuff, all the sand that you saw in there when we first got here, pretty much all of that is being taken out through that sump pump. It's just being pumped back out into the yard. Because it's not got any super harsh chemicals in it, it's going to be fine for the grass. We just don't want to take all of that sand and dirt and stuff throughout the filter, because that's what's going to clog up the filter. All this dust right here, it'll be totally fine for us to vacuum that by hand with the old handy dandy hand vacuum here. And once we get all that, that's going to get stuck in the filter, and then all we have to do is clean the filter. So you guys can kind of see here the line that we're dealing with in terms of the silt. Just kind of one arm in this right now to get this. Here we go. I'm going to push through here. Go along. Watch when we get to right around there, okay? Watch how this thing picks up all the silt off of this. Yeah, check that. Wow. So, all of that silt and stuff is going to get picked up and just thrown straight through the filter. And in about 5-10 minutes, once I'm done, we're just going to clean that filter out and this thing should be good to go. So you can see there, that is the aftermath of just vacuuming this pool. All the dirt. Didn't look like much, but imagine if we'd have tried to vacuum that spa into here. It would have been an absolute nightmare to try and clean.
The amount of rain that we get, stuff like this is to be expected, even if you have a weekly pool service company, even if you take care of your pool incredibly frequently by yourself. This type of thing just happens. As soon as these things start running away from you, they start running pretty quick, and then you can be stuck in a situation like what we have to do later today. We're replacing the equipment on a pool that frankly is so bad we can't see 2 inches below the water's surface, and they need to get the pool completely drained and cleaned. If your pool is starting to turn like either one of these two, get it taken care of immediately. If you get a pool service company in, it's relatively inexpensive because we just kind of accept that this happens in the summer, especially a company like us, Doc Dean's Pools, in summertime. The second one, we totally expect that that's gonna happen, so we just went out there and just vacuumed all that stuff out. The first one, you know, we had to use some specialty chemicals, so you got charged a little bit for those, but generally it's not too terribly expensive. But if you start getting to the point where you need to drain and clean your pool, you're talking $5, $6, $7+ $100. Nip it in the bud as soon as you can. Make sure you stay on top of your filters. Make sure you stay on top of all of your pool chemistry. This has been James from Doc Dean's Pools. If you like this video, please hit the like and the subscribe button down below. It really helps me out figuring out what to do next to try and help you guys and produce some stuff. We are on Facebook and Instagram, Doc Dean's Pools on everything, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.